So now let's get to the part we all have been waiting for. But before we get into that, there's one thing that I can't help but mention. How did Zeke catch Aaron's head? Like, really think about it for a minute. Aaron was a few meters away from a pinned down Zeke Yeager, and Gabby's gun looked like it had a lot of power behind it. And Zeke caught it using his left hand, and Aaron was at his right side. But I guess Zeke is just a great baseball player. But anyway, let's continue with the video. And let me start off by saying this. This girl, Annie, got off so freaking easy. Like, think about it, bro. She was part of Marco's murder, murdered members of the Scouts, played with their corpses, killed the Levi squad, and caused many deaths in Stoas. And even had the audacity to say that she would do it again if it meant returning to her father. I mean, at least Bernardo and Reiner had their regrets, and even so, the story still punished them for their actions. I don't care that she's psychotic, I could have that. Zeke wasn't psychotic but apathetic, pretty much caring less about the ones he hurt due to his ideas, but at least he was punished for it. The only inconvenience that happened for Annie was the pie scene. We've been waiting for her return for years, how she would answer for what she'd done, only to have this moment be treated as a family reunion. And this line from Connie takes the cake. Annie has done more than enough fighting. Like, Connie, shut up, bro. You're the same person who's giving Zeke shit for Ragako and Aaron for laughing at Sasha getting killed, which is justified. But when it's Annie, it's all of a sudden okay? Like, come on, bro. Everyone's resentment is so inconsistent except for Levi. Like, why didn't Connie give Peach any shit for also contributing at Ragako? How all of a sudden Armin likes Annie despite never talking to each other and have no signs of development between the two? And yes, I know Aaron says something about Boruto influencing his mind, but that's nothing but a theory. It was never answered. Overall, Armin's obsession made little to no sense and was just plain creepy. So remember Keith Shadis? You know, the guy that taught the recruits? He told his recruits to join and be loyal to the Jaegerists, even willing to take a beating from them, even fought to protect them because they're his students, only to help kill majority of them. Also, Mikasa, what the fuck? You can't convince me that Mikasa cares, bruh. Like, why would she do this if they're already dead? Those were people that you trained with, and you're going this overboard? Like, you know what, bruh? Girl power ideas. I don't fucking care. And also, Gabby's BS shot on Flock. I mean, I know it's not impossible to hit somebody who's maneuvering in the air, but dude, talk about convenience, man. And lastly for this chapter, why are we having comedic moments during a freaking genocide? Sasha and Connie existed for this story, for comedic moments, but that was even subsided when the characters encountered a serious situation. If anything, Sasha's death should have marked the end of the silly humor of Attack on Titan. If anything, adding this humor in a serious event such as the rumbling causes a sense of tone whiplash, but some think that it counters the dark themes of Attack on Titan, so to each their own, I guess. So before I talk about their conversation, let me talk about their respective characters. Armin always misunderstood Aaron's goal. He believed that Aaron wanted to see the sea and the rest of the world with him, but Aaron just wanted to know that he had access to the world without dangers such as Titans or humans. When it comes to the debate of who should live between Armin and Erwin, after the abysmal performance that I missed to in season 4, it definitely should have been Erwin. But that aside, people say that Flock is the true successor of Erwin while others say it's Armin. But the truth is, it's really both. See, Armin and Flock may serve as antitheses towards one another, but Erwin has those two sides of him. Armin serves as the intelligent strategist who is driven by curiosity. One thing Aaron acknowledges about Armin is how idealistic and selfless he is compared to him. Aaron was suicidal due to how his selfishness drove many of his people to their deaths, while Armin is willing to give up his life and his dream for his comrade's life. That would be something that Aaron would admire. However, the world that they live in is cruel and therefore requires some cruel decisions. That's where Phlox comes in. Phlox is a realist as well as too damn radical. He embodies the charisma and unwavering drive that Aaron has for Paradis, or in Aaron's perspective, humanity. Now, it's tricky to say that Aaron would approve of the rumbling since he was more interested in finding the truth rather than protecting Paradis, so I won't go into that topic. However, Phlox embodies what Aaron had to be in the world that they live in, while Armin embodies what Aaron wished he could be. I might be missing some point here, but that's just my take. Armin has been making some terrible decisions in season 4. He's just not cut out to be a leader. He's more prone to be a strategist than anything but a leader. He hasn't even led the alliance. That was Hanji and Levi. And Hanji, I straight up hit her in season 4. I'm glad she died. And if anything, Jean should have taken the lead because after all, it was constantly stated that he would be a great leader. But let's get back to Armin. What the hell was he thinking about jumping into Connie's mother's mouth? Like, yeah, he wasn't in the best state of mind, but his objective was to get as many people as possible to stop the rumbling. And dying would just make that task harder than what it has to be. Like, what they're gonna do at this case? Recruit Connie's mom? Someone with no Titan fighting experience? Like, bruh, I fucking hate this scene, bro. I can't take it seriously. And lastly, it's been shown time and time again, Armin is not a leader nor is he a negotiator. He's simply a strategist. When all the Eldians got guns pointing at them, saying if they were Titans they would have transformed right now was a damn near the dumbest thing I have ever heard. As if saying that wouldn't make them more inclined to air that bitch out. Now let's talk about Zeke Yeager. Now I love Zeke and I felt sorry for him. I honestly wanted him to survive, but I wanted Sasha to survive too, so anyway, Zeke is both a nihilist and an anti-natalist due to his experience with life as an Eldian in Marley, and the son of an Eldian restorationist. Blinded by his experience and self-hatred, he believed that there was no point or reason in every Eldian to live. But aside from that, he's a lonely man who is constantly surrounded by people who destroys his self-worth. His father sees him as nothing but a key to a plan, but every time he doesn't meet his expectations, he never fails to express his disappointment. His grandparents, along with the rest of Marley, demoralize him since they believe people with Eldian blood are naturally terrible people and must atone for their ancestor sins. And the one that I believe drove it home was Tom Savior, his father figure. When he told his story about how his child was murdered by his wife and his wife committed suicide because she was a proud Marleyan, he tells Zeke that he became a warrior just to die. Plus, not only does he know Zeke's best, he told him to pursue the Eldian euthanization and how to do it. Zeke already had this idea in mind, of course, but Tom practically gave it the green light. And also, here's the thing. When Zeke hears that his dad survived long enough to have another child, something inside Zeke made him see a light in a dim world. He believed that he was no longer alone, that his father once more brainwashed another one of his children. Yeah, everyone in Marley was brainwashed, but to Zeke, he ironically found a purpose in life, to save his brother from the agony of the man that he once called his father. To Zeke, Eren was all he had left. That is, until he realized Eren didn't have it like Zeke did. Eren longed for freedom ever since he was born, only realizing it when he saw Armin's book. While Zeke, all he really wanted since he was born was to enjoy life with his family, free from unjust oppression. However, due to his environment, his main goal was to save the world from the fear of Eldians, and to save Eldians by taking away their ability to reproduce. He simply believes that not being born in the first place is the greatest salvation of all. So about their conversation between the two characters, this conversation was beautiful and necessary for both their characters' respective arcs. But the way it impacts the narrative is just fucking stupid. Now look, the whole point of this conversation is to make Zeke realize that the little things in life is what makes life enjoyable and worth living for, which eventually touches the prior shifters. I won't deny that it's a beautiful message that everyone must understand, but to put into account the wide scale of events at hand, this whole situation is genocide versus genocide. This had been established since that political hearing Eren left on, and when Millie Tiber made his speech. And hell, the moment that set this entire story off was when Faye got eaten by dogs, all because she wanted to see a blimp. All because she wanted to enjoy a little thing, just as seeing a blimp. The world denied Eldians from enjoying the little things. Something as salt is considered valuable within the walls, while it's common as air for the rest of the world. The whole point of the rumbling is to give the people in Paradise freedom to enjoy the aspects of life without being oppressed for being born. And the results of this conversation just makes everything fall apart, but we'll discuss that on the next and final chapter. This conversation made Eren Kruger and Grisha turn on Eren, the same two people who dedicated their hearts to helping the Eldians. Eren Kruger cut off the fingers and killed other Eldians for the sake of covering his ruse for the Eldians' restorationists. And Grisha, who despises the way Marley treats Eldians, just turns on Eren as well. And also, Freckles Ymir wants Eldia to have a future, Saying that this conversation touches them is some shit you see from Naruto. Now I mentioned that in the previous chapter, the battle against the Jaegers felt more difficult than the battle of heaven and earth. And I say this because the Alliance suffered more casualties in this battle than against probably at most 1,000 Titans, and not just Titans, Titan shifters. This is the same show that was known for its high stakes since season 1. When fighting against Annie in season 1, many experienced elite scouts were freaking killed by her, and that's just one Titan shifter. Against Reiner and other mindless Titans, when Reiner kidnapped Eren, there were many deaths by mindless Titans, and all of them would have died if it wasn't for Eren's founding Titan's ability. And I'm not finna go over how many people died during the Battle of Shiganshina. So tell me how are 10 people, which includes 5 Titan shifters, one of them being inexperienced, and somehow the only one that could fly amongst the hundreds of Titan shifters that there are. 2 Ackermans, with one of them who should have been dead but isn't due to special Ackerman powers, 2 regular ass humans, and 1 little girl could fight damn near 1,000 Titans, and the only casualty was Levi breaking his ankle, which already happened before in season 1. The most dangerous moment in this battle had to be when the other Eldians turned into mindless Titans, only to have them all turn back. And I know that I'm not the first person to ask this question, but what the fuck happened to the worm, as well as the other colossal Titans? And now let's get to the one who started it all, Ymir Fritz. A little girl who's gone through slavery, got her tongue cut off. Once she shows a bit of rebellion by freeing pigs, she gets outed by others, which is understandable. And she gets walked down by her captors and luckily gets the power of the Titan. But due to her trauma giving her the mindset of a slave, her lack of self-worth, she returns to the king. And then King Fritz forces her to have his children. She hated this life so much that when she without a second thought blocked the spirit to save King Fritz's life, she willingly died. However, due to her slave mentality, she ends up in Paths, where she posthumously obeys King Fritz's commands to only serve the royal family while using the Titans to make Eldia reign the world. But Eren frees her by telling her her worth as a person and who she is. After all, she was waiting and calling for him for 2,000 years. Thus, she decides to disobey Zeke and the royal bloodline and give Eren all the powers of the Titans. Therefore, the connection between Zeke, Ymir, and the founder no longer matters. So it makes no sense for Zeke's death to stop the rumbling. But Isayama wants to throw in a sick joke saying that Ymir was in love with the king this whole time. The same man that cut off her tongue, probably killed her parents, and sexually assaulted her. And for the people that say Ymir only has Stockholm Syndrome, well, for starters, that's pseudoscience. And 2, say that it is real and rare, you gotta have an amicable bond with your abuser. We only see moments in which she hated her life with King Fritz. And they also tried to connect us with Mikasa loving Eren, even though Ymir is more parallel with Historia more than anybody else in the show. The ending pretty much tells you, oh, Ymir was in love with King Fritz to the point where she was a slave. She was a slave to her love, and one day Mikasa gets saved by a boy from kidnappers and fell in love with said boy, who didn't seem to feel the same way about her, but does, and couldn't wait for 2,000 years to see her kill him and kiss his decapitated head so her love curse or whatever could go away. For the majority of Attack on Titan, I knew Ymir has gone through some shit because it was foreshadowed in Freckle Ymir's past. But now I just can't stand her as, well, not her, but the way she's written. Now let's get to the best part of the ending of Attack on Titan, the conversation between Eren and Armin. I've already talked about how Eren's characterization in part 1. Now, before reading this chapter, I liked how it was going to start off with a final conversation between the 2, because it does break my heart that this was their last conversation. But looking back, I wish we never had this because, and yes, I'm going to say it, Eren's character was retconned. Eren's motivation, plans, reasons were already mentioned in chapter 131. And Eren pretty much says that he's a slave to Ymir, which strips him of all his agency, which is what he's been fighting for the entirety of the series. Having to be the one who kills his mother for Ymir. See, before reading this, I never knew what cringing felt like, but reading this for the first time made me feel that emotion. And let's get this one out the way. I know people recite Kenny's line that everybody's a slave to something and use that for this argument. Eren was a slave to his freedom. This is honestly the stupidest phrase I have ever heard. It's not deep, it's just nonsensical. And here's why for starters. Everyone is a slave for something is a metaphor. This means that everyone needs something, be it your ambition, faith, fear, or someone to love to keep living in life. But that doesn't make you a slave to those things. They're just things that give you a purpose. To be a slave to something, it means to not have any control of your actions, which Eren does have control of his. He chose to let Team Levi fight the female Titan in his stead. He chose to eat Laura Tiber. He chose to save Mikasa despite never meeting her, and he chose to stand and fight the Smiling Titan to save Mikasa, not because of his slave to freedom bullshit, but because he cares about her. Seeing Armin's book awakened his drive to freedom, and he chose to give his life to help the people in Paradis be free. Plus, you can't be a slave to freedom. You can be driven by freedom, not be a slave to it. That's like saying Harriet Tubman died a slave because she wanted freedom, and she achieved it. She didn't die a slave, but she died as someone who wasn't being treated equally. Anyways, in Eren and Armin's conversation, he mentioned that he killed his mother. This reveal fucks up so many previous scenes, such as asking Reiner why his mother has to die. Like, nigga, you did it. And he didn't do it to make his child self motivated to join the army. He already was. And some of you may say he did this to expose his founding Titan ability. But that's just an unproven headcanon. And also, Dina is a royal Titan. All royal mindless Titans are shown to act differently than regular mindless Titans. And with Dina, she says that she'll come looking for Grisha, which explains why she walked towards his residence. Sure, it's headcanon, but at least it's backed up. And again, Mikasa is the only one able to free Ymir for a reason we shall never know. Never mind, I've already discussed that. But speaking of Mikasa, it's sad that I could hear this panel. I've already said how I don't care about Eren yelling and having breakdowns. Those breakdowns show his determinism to achieve freedom. But this, crying over someone who is throwing it at her throughout the entire freaking series, and he never showed feelings to her. I know he was on the verge of breaking down when he revealed that he killed his mom. So Mikasa being the breaking point is understandable. He grew up with her, and due to her Ackerman powers, he's unable to have that final conversation with her. Damn, another retcon. And the last thing he tells her is that she's a slave and that he always hated her. Him breaking down due to how he can never have the final chance to mend those wounds would make way more sense than what we've gotten. Also, Mikasa's headaches were never explained. She has memory immunity to the second power due to her bloodline. How the hell did Mikasa make it to the island? And I hope to God she did not do things with Eren's head. He's already been done dirty way too much. And to end this video off, remember when Historia was important to the story? So did I. Those were some good times. I'm sorry that my reasons aren't as chronological as I wanted them to be, but I hope my points were made clear as possible. I really do love Attack on Titan. That is the main reason why I made this video. And I probably did miss some points or haven't explained things that I said I would. I might make a continuation of this video. But anyways, in my opinion, this ending was just plain terrible. Many characters' arcs finished mediocrely, and many crucial aspects and themes of the show were just retconned or just left unexplained. At the end of it all, nothing mattered. Honestly, when rewatching this anime after reading the manga, I tried my absolute hardest to like this ending. But I will give credit to where it's due. Mappa animated the fuck out of this ending, and Armin crying at the end made me feel a certain type of way, so yeah. I won't say that the ending looks terrible, man, but the ending is an example of even pretty girls have the evilest faces. I know that sounds weird, but it just felt like Isayama listened to a casual fan's theory and like Eren loved Mikasa the entire time, or Eren is truly a psychopath. But no matter what, I can never understand how Isayama fumbled this badly. To the point of, in my opinion, is the worst ending possible for a story that talks about humanity's survival into a love story. Like, that's just, what the hell, bruh? Someone said in the anime that Isayama was projecting himself through Eren when he called himself a garden variety idiot. But I don't know, man. Anyways, this is the end of this video. I hope you enjoy and thank you for watching. My channel will have more talks about animes and probably even skits. I just graduated like 2 months ago and I gotta get ready for college. So I won't be as consistent as I want, but anyways, like, comment, subscribe. Thank y'all and God bless.